Hello, my friends. Russell Wright, Super Intelligent AI SEO, and we're going to talk about the Eureka Gain Score workflow. But before we do, I want to make sure that you understand why we got here, where we're going, why you should care about Eureka Gain Score, Insight Score, Innovation Score, and Estimated Accuracy Score. Because prepping for those will help you rank for your brand using entity optimization all the way into the future search engines. So, a quick history lesson. By the way, we did have a podcast which is experimental using ChatGPT to interview me about this diagram created by Kaylin Wright, my wife. And we wanted to give you a history of where have been and where they're going so that you know what we're thinking about in terms of optimizing for Perplexity.ai, for ChatGPT, SearchGPT, and the hundreds of new answer engines coming onto the market. Search engines, 1994, 2012, pretty straightforward. And by the way, we have a clickable map for all of this. So those of you who want to click around and learn about some of my histories, including files that I have from businesses I launched as far back as 2003, it will definitely help you kind of understand the history. It's kind of fun to use ThingLink to click around these things. So I had the search engines 1.0 ending in 2012 because the entity engines, the knowledge graph, all of these things, if you're new, you don't need to know them, but we do have, it's a great learning process because by knowing this, you can understand how machine learning led to the artificial intelligence we have today at OpenAI and how Google Gemini and the document called Attention is All You Need, which was actually an open source document, led to a $1 trillion industry. Okay, so only in the modern age, right? Entities were the transitions, entities were the transition between the 1994 to 2012 search engines to the search engines 2.0 2012 to 2023. And I say that because Freebase, as I'm fond of saying, was purchased by Google and they slurped it up and dismantled it. And And you can go back to this handy dandy article here. You can see what was Freebase and why it was dismantled from Failure. These are old articles. And Freebase was a collaborative knowledge base acquired by Google. It shut down because the technology has been integrated into Google's knowledge graph. And even past that time, Google was still using Wikipedia as an entity assessment system. Entities are simply islands in the stream of data that never change. They're facts, mostly edited by humans, and Google used that to build a more solid database for their pay-per-click systems that allowed the big piles of keywords to be all put in one bucket. And that bucket is how they regulate pay-per-click, Performance Max, and a lot of other AI engines. And so that's why this is the story of two Googles. One is the entity knowledge graph, and the other is the pay-per-click side. Okay, so here's an entity. Entity is something that exists in itself. Okay, it does not need to be of material existence. It's an idea, a concept, and Daryl Osborne will tell you that schema actually deals with entities of different kinds, and there's ways to talk about them. So these fixed points are actually an ontology for the entire web. So for the word entity, there's thousands of keywords tied to entity, right? And automobile, let me go ahead and show you if I can spell it. Here's a go, car, Wikipedia. So this is an entity. So while Wikipedia starves to death, asking for donations pretty much constantly, Google utilized their entity substructures to make billions of dollars with their pay-per-click campaigns because they simply programmed everything so that entities would control the keywords. Back in the day, we would use, in 1.0 search engines, we would optimize for keywords stuffed onto a page, and we called this keyword clustering. I created one of the first softwares ever to use co-occurrence as one of the factors for ranking. And then later, ThemeZoom was the company that was developing that. Shout out to Bruce Clay, the father of SEO, who's my first mentor in that space. I will always appreciate you because you taught me website silo architecture, co-occurrence, and how keywords worked in 2003. It's been a long run, my friend. Okay, so what does all this mean? This means that you can score yourself for entities. Daryl Osborne, Jimmy Kelley, myself, we created scoring entities. And my wife and I worked on a scoring calculator, which we still have part of, but it became a secondary project, and now we've rebuilt that. Daryl Osborne has a new GPT, which we're going to use and give him credit for inside this training area. This is a GPT that will help you find the entities, and you can use it in conjunction with your Eureka Gain Score GPT. Okay, so Search Engines 2.0, 2012 to 2023. These are, I'm ending the era of entity knowledge graph-based SEO. It's still in use. Guys, remember, these are a stack. It's not as if one thing ends and another one begins. It's layers. It's called stacked information or stacked technology. And what this really means is that in 2012, the knowledge graph sort of ended, but from 2023, as soon as Sam Altman and OpenAI launched and people started spitting out thousands of pages per hour for their website with AI and AI images, we're going to call that the end of Google 2.0. And that was the beginning of the OpenAI language learning model when it launched, and everybody was all excited, and the hype cycle began. Okay? So the transition between search engines 2.0 and what we call answer engines, and we have answer engines very clearly laid out on the graph where you can poke around on ThingLink. We've actually given you links to all the different kinds of answer engines. One of them is, of course, the ChatGPT called the Search GPT. You can consider this an answer engine. And Search GPT now has a plugin, which we have currently paused, but it actually, when you try to type something into Google or in the Omni bar, which is up here, inside of the even Chrome kit, this is Chrome we're using, which is Google's own property, and by the way, they do pass data back and forth to their servers. They recently released this in public hearings in Congress, but we all knew that in my trade. Bottom line is that they're passing all kinds of data, and they're kind of nervous about ChatGPT jacking all their traffic, bypassing the search engines directly. These are called answer engines because basically I can just ask a question directly and get a direct answer. And it will still parse the web and parse Google. So they're still interacting with Google, but this is bypassing the need for the 10 blue links and to go kind of guess what you're looking for. You can have a conversation that's real instead of a hunt fest. There's this old gypsy blessing, which is also the gypsy curse, called may you find what you're looking for, gypsy blessing. May you find what you're looking for, gypsy curse. Well, it's kind of a double-edged sword with Google. People enjoy the dopaminergic travel of what's called information foraging. They really like that stuff, but at the end of the day, you spend a lot of time poking around, not finding answers to simple questions that are informational keywords. Well, at the end of the day, transactional keywords are really what all the listicles and articles are fighting about, and you can bypass a lot of those in the answer engines. But we'll talk about Perplexity AI and the rest, which is a different type of answer engine. It also includes ads and includes businesses. So again, this is why you're learning about the Eureka Gain score, okay? Because the transition from answer engines to insight engines is going to be insight score. So our insight gain score is part of the Eureka Gain score. It's an independent score. It uses both interpolated and extrapolated AI systems and the Perplexity systems that OpenAI uses. Doesn't necessarily use chain of thought, but it implies it. It uses creative insight and a variety of other functions that are available at these incredibly powerful language learning models. One of the things you have to understand is that interpolated insight comes from the large language models' massive amounts of data, probably 1.2 million years worth of text data, that last time I checked. That confidence score based on pattern recognition, not merely autocomplete, but reasonable stacking of ideas. Attention is all you need, 3.0. And it can find patterns while also reasoning symbolically within its latent spaces. I know that sounds like a mouthful, but it's really important to understand, guys. This is not autocomplete. It is a reasoning engine. Despite what you've heard from Apple or any of the tests at all, this is not merely an autocomplete. This is getting very close to how intelligence works. And I know a lot of people don't like to hear it, but it really is that way. So insight engines are moving past answer engines. And so what is an insight engine? There's proprietary ones and probably going to be moving to public ones. I consider the GPTs themselves, when properly framed and prompted, or multi-swarm agents or multiple intelligent agents or narrow AI agents, to have the ability to provide insight. There's the ones that are publicly available, which I believe LLMs can be used for insight because I'm able to create insight scoring systems with it. On the other hand, there's the more advanced and or narrow AI insight engines like AlphaGo, okay? And AlphaFold is even a better one. Now we get into this, we talk about it a lot in some of the videos, okay? AlphaFold, very, very big deal. They've now received the Nobel Prize. And what ended up happening is they found a huge number of proteins and basically solved the protein folding problem. Okay, this is a really big deal. And the insight required led to innovations. This is skirting the line between innovation and insight engines, but the engine is what they were doing when they were running this stuff. Okay, they just simply went through an iterative process, just like the iterative process would use to program or come up with better ideas. You just fail faster and fail forward, and nothing can fail faster and more forward than AI using simultaneous network sockets. Okay, it's like a DOS. Instead of a DOS attack to destroy something, um, it's literally like a DOS iteration to create something. Okay, for those of you who understand cybersecurity. All right, so this is really what I agree. Okay, this is a type of insight engine that led to innovations. And I'm sure that they're moving in towards innovation engines. So to be clear, there are going to be insight engines like there are, for example, already using ChatGPT. You can use multiple language learning models to create insight. Insight simply means, in the way that you score it, that there's something new that's come out of it that maybe has never been thought of before, or maybe you're borrowing something from one industry and bringing it over to another industry and finding, hey, there's a parallel. This is called polymathism, okay, or lateral domain systems. All of it we've got integrated into the language learning model and the GPT we're using to give you these scores. One of the big problems with siloing anything is you don't know what wisdom might have been acquired through a different domain. For example, if you're trying to come up with a really good example, if you're in mathematics and you're creating, let's say you're studying knots and slip knots and different kinds of knots. By the way, knots is a whole discipline. When you're a sailor, you study Bowman and all Bolin knots and all these other types of knots. Okay, there's a math to knots. Knot theory is what it's called. Some of the greatest puzzles of all time are knots. Well, guess what? There's overlap to knot, the discipline of knot tying, into math, and there's a discipline of math and folding into the protein folding. Okay, so a multiple disciplinary approach is where insight gain can occur. Okay, that's the main thing I want you to see. Is like right here, it's a multi-domain approach. Answer engines are drawing from pre-existing data that was organized around entities and then creating a learning model around it. Okay? Insight engines come up with something entirely new that may have not been thought of before, and that's how we solved all of the protein problems. Okay? Well, not all of them, but a lot. Now you get into some pretty weird stuff. Well, what happens after that? Okay, what happens after that is something called innovation and innovation engines. Okay? So innovation gain score is actually part of the Eureka gain score, and there's more of an advanced level of that. But basically what we're looking at for an innovation engine is one step farther than insight engines. So for example, there's already innovation engines that exist, and I talk about this with the AI in the private interview, which I'm going to include for you guys. And an innovation engine doesn't merely come up with all the different possible insights. Like let's take AlphaFold. Okay, so what happens is Google's DeepMind would come up with all these ideas and a highly probable solution to a significant number of different protein folding scenarios, and then it was up to the scientists to kind of zoom in on the high probability solutions to certain folds and predictions, and then validate them. So the insight was there, but the final innovation, had to be tested in the lab. And here's where you have a bunch of different kind of problems, right? Where AI safety and the rest comes in. So imagine that instead of the doctors that were saying, hey, AlphaFold, great idea. This is an amazing mathematical fold. We've never even considered this before. Let's see if we can, let's take these 15 types of mathematical solutions for a protein that you gave us, and we'll take 10 of those and we'll go test them. Okay? Because the humans had to test them, that's an insight engine. If the robots had come in, or it had a simulation of maybe an even larger computational space of a virtual reality or a simulation, where it could actually test these themselves, or maybe even robots in a real lab, what could go wrong? Testing these proteins, that is going to be an innovation engine. Okay, an innovation engine is when there's no humans involved. It does the research, it provides the answer, it finds the insight, by asking better answers. Okay, you should also call them a question engine. And then based on those insights, it will test a series of high probability solutions, and then it will innovate and actually create the solutions in the real world. Wow, right? So innovation engines are probably going to be mostly proprietary, but I imagine that there will be some that are safe, that are out there, that will be out there as we begin to launch, probably in the realm of art and graphics, rather than just having um, a graphic artist, render a generative AI image of your ex-girlfriend. Instead, you'll be able to maybe build out some blueprints within constraints. And if you want to build blueprints that are truly innovative and actually set all the things in motion to actually build the house with those blueprints, well, you got to pay for the upgrade for an innovation engine. In fact, this stuff is already coming, guys. I've seen innovation engines for architecture, for CAD, just an AI co-pilot assistant for darn near everything. Okay, that's the implication of all this. Hope that makes sense. So the Eureka Gain score encompasses all of these. So what the Eureka Gain score is all of these combined, meaning we can do a Eureka Gain score that should be a high information gain, a high insight gain, fairly high innovation gain, because it's harder to get all these aligned, and then that will give you your collective Eureka Gain score. Because the Eureka Gain score is, we came up with an innovative way through insight, and these innovations are truly unique, and they have a high score because probably no one has synthesized them before or thought about them or put them, and it can be simple too. Maybe nobody has written an article that includes tying knots and knot folding math combined with mathematics combined with physics combined with protein folding. Maybe no one's written an article that compared the multiple domain or insight framework. And if you're the first to write that article, that means that the Eureka Gain score is probably very high, especially if you have images, which will show you in the iterative process. You want to add insightful images that increase the Eureka score in someone's brain. Okay? So the human brain operates by having a pretty huge dose of pleasure when several problems are all solved at the same time. And when readers are reading your content, they're going to have several problems solved at the same time as well, and they're going to find you as the authority in your niche or your client as the authority in the niche. And you can start guiding your clients. What you'll find when you talk to clients, there's a lot of people out there that are truly innovative. Like we have doctors and neuropathists and chiropractors and even people who are building new products. You can use the Eureka Gain score to come up with a better product. And when those scores are high, sometimes when you know what you're scoring for, and even if it's someone else and not your own expertise, you can draw that out of them. Say, hey, you have some very insightful stuff. And we talk about that in the brain dump function of what we call curation. Okay, and we're teaching you, I've been teaching content curation as far back as 2008, and guys, it is back, guys and gals, it is back. Okay, it is really, really back. And so we're going to teach you in this process how to iterate. And the first one, when you're creating your video, is just this initial brain dump, and that can be for your client. Take your client's videos, parse his videos, find out what he believes and what he teaches. He may not even know himself because he's too busy chopping wood to sharpen his axe. He's too busy being an expert to provide expert, amazing content. You can take all of this stuff and you can funnel it through a Eureka Gain score, and it's going to make the content better. And then one of the things that you can provide as a service is writing content. They're going to love you for this, you guys. It's just one of those things that, they'll make you really sharpen your sword and help your clients win in the field with content. Because content's not going away. The platform types might go away. The size of the video, the shorts, and the rest might go away. But even video shorts should be spliced and sliced up from a big masterpiece of content. Okay? Now, as we move past Eureka Gain score, we're going to move into the speculative. We call these super intelligent engines. And this is where the really big and scary stuff and exciting stuff starts to happen. We call ourselves super intelligent AI SEO because search engines are not really going away. Think about AlphaFold, right? AlphaFold was still a search engine. What were they searching for? They were searching for the solution to the protein folds. They were searching, or there's another mathematical search engine like Wolfram, right? Amazing guy. You should watch his stuff. It's a computational engine that's moving more towards symbolic math and search reasoning. They're still trying to solve the Riemann equation, which if solved, renders all encryption on the internet obsolete, right? In fact, quantum computing will most definitely solve that, which is why I think they're keeping it in the can. So super intelligent engines, I suspect, are going to use quantum computing. All bets are off at that point. However, we've already prepared some contingencies. Now here's where it gets very, very strange because these contingencies are iterative. So we're sky piloting now. And guys, just so you know, we're not going to teach anything in this training past this point, which is the Eureka score. Okay. However, I want you to know what's coming and why we're doing it. And I'm going to give you a sneak peek of it here. Okay, we already created something, and it's my big baby and my big secret. I've been actually contemplating it as far back as 2000, actually 2000. Taken us a long time. Could not have iterated this without AI, with multiple. In fact, the next AI model coming out, I'm waiting for, because I'm going to need it. This is called the MSLR score. Okay, and there is a company at Google, and it is run by Astro Teller. And the best way to let you know about what's coming is that Astro Teller is one of the people that I watch a lot, and I work a lot with his principles. And in fact, everything you're seeing today works with a lot of these principles. Okay, so the Moonshot Factory is a part of something called X, and you can learn so much from Astro. Okay, well, we've taken his work combined with other work, and we created a Moonshot score. Okay, the Moonshot score is pretty incredible, pretty amazing. And what this is there's a very specific type of iteration I'm thinking you need in order to solve problems that have never been addressed. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, but my more advanced students are going to need to understand this kind of innovation. You're going to need to have an Astro Teller type theory of mind, and you're going to need to understand what it is, how to ground that, okay, as a lightning rod into the ground. Because one of the things that happens with moonshots, there's the Moonshot Factory, there's Peter Diamandis, there's all the people out there who are great friends with Elon Musk. One of the things that's very problematic with moonshot thinking and truly innovative think tanks and skunk works is they do not know how to ground out their actual innovations into the physical reality. So they either get investment capital and then they burn their runway and there's nothing left, or they really have a great idea but it never goes anywhere. Or, as Astro has impeccably taught in all of his moonshot teaching, is that they're using the same mindset for moonshots as they're using for working a job. And the reality is you can never be attached to your idea. You have to be willing to be wrong. And if it's not, you know, the probability of gaining a result is not good, you move on to the next slot machine. You move on to the next idea, the next iteration. And it's all about iteration, which is what AI is all about. And when you know how to use it, you're going to be able to score all of this. Okay? So some of this stuff might all happen at the same time, guys. But here's one thing that's for sure. The singularity of some kind or another, regardless of your philosophy. I am not a transhumanist, so you don't have to worry about that with me, but I understand where they're coming from. We are definitely outside of Moore's law, and we've moved into something else. Okay, so the book, The Singularity is Near, has been one of the most accurate predictors that we've ever had for what's happening. And you can almost guarantee that the singularity or embodied AGI agents, they're already here. So I don't want you to think this is like a linear progression. All of these layers are happening right now at the same time. I'm just trying to give you a diagram that shows how it works. Okay? So what do we do when the singularity and embodied AGI agents actually can run all of these scores simultaneously? They can be in the lab after the insights are born, doing the innovations, building the proteins, working on cancer cures, or creating military level viruses in the lab. It can go either way. Remember, technology is neutral until humans get their hands on it. And indirectly, robots getting their hands on it is also humans getting their hand on it. So again, tools are neutral in general, but we've never had tools before that could build other tools and walk around. They can build their own babies. Okay? So we are here, and nobody knows exactly what's going to happen, but there's going to be a lot of disruption. So there's a few things. One of the things that you hear a lot, Henry Ford, the famous thing, if I'd asked my market what it wanted, it would have said faster horses. In other words, ignore your market. Some of the things that we have going on are so unpredictable, and the pundits are so unclear. Even people in the AI space don't fully understand. Here's the reason why. Nobody can deal with all of these things happening all at the same time. So you have to think in terms of iteration. Remember that search and dopaminergics is at the root of all search. And at the end of the day, it's about innovation and problem solving. But problem solving to what end? What are you going to do with the tools? What are the tools designed to do? You can use AI to kill people. You can use AI to heal the world. You can use it to be your friend, or you can use it to extend and save you time. Where I'm coming from philosophically for you guys is a very tricky place, and I want to give you a little bit of a talk here. I want to talk with you. We're going to have to go philosophy. So I'm going to say it like this. I agree with Mark Andreessen, creator of the Mozilla browser, billionaire investor, really interesting chap. Really like what he has invested in, and I like a lot of his writing. If it's not a time machine, it's not really a great product. Like, look at all the products that you have and that you buy that should save you time. Okay, people buy things that don't save them time. There's time wasters. Okay, for example, the time waster industry, like Candy Crusher or the other apps, these are things that are novelty, but they're all dopaminergic. They are based on having fun or playing. The film industry, the movie industry is an example of that. But the products that do really well in tech or for clients, they save you time. Okay, whether it's a weight loss drug or a health getting well thing or an anti-aging process is really about reversing time. Most of the products are about saving you time. The search engine industry, it's about ranking faster with the latest, greatest hack, right? Okay, that's been that way for 25 years. People have been in search of the shortcut. It's just what humans do. The challenge we have is that AI can actually provide shortcuts, like all the time at multiple levels. It's a wish-fulfilling genie in a bottle, and it's an oracle of Delphi, and a religious experience, and a technical dystopia all at the same time. And so what it is that we need to be clear of, and this is the one thing that Kayla and I are actually working on something that's past the singularity here. We've actually got that in the can. It's going to be more theology, because you're going to need a neurotheology of change past the singularity for Team Human. So we are not offering that inside the superintelligent AI SEO community right now. But just know there are religious and spiritual concerns about where all this are going, and we really want you to understand that, and we can teach you privately about what those are. But the main thing is this. Don't be fooled into thinking that just because you have AI, all the problems are going to be solved. Because here's the problem, guys. The better you get, the better you better get. There's this crazy thing with hyper-capitalism and an inflated AI, the NVIDIA stock market artificially inflating our economy, all these crazy things that are going on. At the end of the day, the growth has to lead to more productivity unless you're going to feed the robots, and then the robots are part of the GDP, which is probably what's going to happen. But what about humans in all of that? Okay, we're on team human. So just know this. As everybody's madly running around thinking about automation and money getting and cash flowing into your bank account because now you can just have all these robots running around doing everything. While that's happening, everybody else is doing it too. Okay, so the big corporations are taking this on first. That's why Microsoft didn't allow the super cool Copilot to be in the hands of the average consultant on the street. You had to have an E5 business with 20 employees or more, and only then could you use Copilot across all of your big data in the company, okay? This is problematic because that means that the little guy, the person on the street, the hard worker, the entrepreneur, is going to get the crumbs from the master's table when it comes to AI, robotics, and true power. However, what I think we'll see is an amazing thing coming out where people will start to build their own chatbots. There will, after the war is fought in the heavens of Silicon Valley over who's going to control everybody's memory and databases and all these, you're going to see a gigantic change in this industry. However, everybody then is going to begin doing this because capitalism. And what I just want you to be aware of is what we're teaching is something different. It's not just about replacing all the video with deep fakes and creepy 10-second ads that are robots and nobody knows who's human or what's behind anything anymore. We're teaching the opposite, okay? What we're going to be teaching you guys, I believe, is the future of Team Human within all of this, okay? And the future of Team Human is to make sure that you put humans at the middle. Have the subject matter expert, the human, be the main thing about the main thing. You don't want Google's AI podcaster female talking to another AI podcaster male. These are the trends you want to avoid. You want the AI robot to be interviewing you, if anything, or real humans talking together, okay? Or an AI collaborating to summarize and enhance your content and then still frame yourself or your customer or client as the golden frame at the center of the curation model, driving all the traffic back to their primary authority as a human. Okay, we don't want to go down the trend of, hey, there's the new AI who owns its own NFT called Goatsy, and no human was ever behind that, and yet everybody's buying it. You know, it doesn't even have any rights yet. We don't even know the extent of what this is all about. We want to stay on Team Human and use AI to enhance the human condition. Okay, so that's what the MSLRS score is going to be. Is we're going to be able to teach you guys how to think differently about your own life, your own business, whether you're in finance, whether you're in tech, whether you're in SEO, that the moonshot, for lack of a better word, or the big giant purpose that you have in your life can utilize all these scores and simply enhance what is already human, what is already great, and enhance who and what you are while making you smarter, while having a great time. This is not a race you can win, guys. It's simply something you can integrate, take a deep breath, and relax and realize that it's another tool, another scenario, and you just got to know it really well and be prepared for what's coming. All right, I'll see you on the next video.